Greetings.
Salutations.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Ken.
Welcome to The Frenz Zone. Today in The Frenz Zone, we are discussing marijuana legalization, decriminalization of medical cannabis, and the regulation of recreational use.
Specifically here in Australia. Although we will be touching on, of course, its use and regulations and stuff like that in other countries. The United States and Canada.
Sorry,
You zoned out.
zoned out a little bit there at the beginning before the show.
Is something you want to tell me here? I mean, you partaking as well? Anyway.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
So, medical cannabis will become legal, but strictly controlled from November this year, under a formal decision reached by the Therapeutic Goods Administration.
Yeah, that's specifically here in Australia.
So what this means is that whilst it is still illegal to carry, it's still illegal to buy, it's still illegal to smoke it and to be in any way related to marijuana or anybody that smokes marijuana. In fact, if you've mentioned marijuana once or twice just passively in conversation here in Australia, not only can you be fined an exorbitant amount of money, but you will also go to prison where you will...
Well, maybe not prison, but you can get searched. No, the police are not outside.
Sorry. So, a little backstory. The clinical trials have shown moderate quality evidence that essentially proves in many ways...
Yes. The health benefits to marijuana.
Yeah, I could use some of that. All joking aside, I feel very strongly about the marijuana issue. It is...
A lot of people do.
Well, if you look at the history of prohibition, if only in the United States, we have shown time and time again that criminalizing a recreational substance that people will get anyway does not end well.
No, it doesn't. It never ends well. I mean, if you want to take in point the whole prohibition thing, I mean, people went out of their way to continue to consume alcohol. We had the creations of the speakeasy, places for people to actually go and consume it in, black market areas and all that other kind of thing. Ended up resulting in a lot of deaths because the FBI at the time started spiking alcohol. A lot of the alcohol that they had managed to seize and stuff, they spiked it with things like formaldehyde, which resulted in, I think it was like 50,000 people or so being killed by consuming this tainted alcohol. So it's quite obvious that prohibition doesn't work, especially when you start talking about substances that are proven to be how would I say it?
How would you say it?
Well, I would say that, marijuana in general doesn't create, I should say, problems, hassles, or whatnot in the community at large.
No, the biggest problem that comes from medical marijuana is the fact that it is an unregulated black market drug.
Yeah.
Because it has been criminalized so heavily, in I think in the United States it's listed, or it was listed in many cases as a Schedule I narcotic, meaning it has no medicinal benefit.
Yeah.
And is highly dangerous and highly addictive.
Yeah, well, everybody saw those videos and the commercials that they used to put out about saying no to drugs.
Oh, well, not only
and
just
it was
that,
always marijuana that was the one that was targeted.
Well, this propaganda dates back even further than that. If you go all the way back to reefer madness, I mean, they tried tricking people into believing that smoking one joint make you crazy.
Oh, yeah, or that it led to harsh drugs, like you smoke one joint one day, the next day you're, booting up smack.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely
so let's
ridiculous.
give you a few statistics here. So, of course, marijuana has now been completely decriminalized in certain places in the U.S.
As well as Canada.
And Canada as of next year.
Well, no. It's been decriminalized in Canada for some time. What's happening next year is actually pretty,
It's the full regulation of marijuana.
It is a remarkable milestone in prohibition history, where you are absolutely right. We have decided to regulate this controlled substance, which means now not only medical patients have access to it, but the guy who works down at the corner store who just put in 8 hours goes home. he doesn't have to worry about cops busting down his door for smoking a plant that makes him happy.
Yeah.
Like, what is on... Like, I've never understood completely why marijuana use has been so heavily vilified, especially in the United States, where you're getting people who are getting larger sentences for possession...
Than murderers?
Than murderers and rapists.
I know.
Like, that is mental.
Yeah.
Like,
so, you got some statistics here for it.
Yeah, okay, so legal marijuana sales in the U.S. in 2016 were over $6.7 billion. That's billion with a B.
Big capital B.
That's $6.7 billion taken away from drug cartels and given to local businesses.
Yeah.
Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, who got elected campaigning on one promise, the regulation of cannabis, full stop.
Yeah.
No caveats, just simply that. Well, we're adults. We can make those decisions. Mm-hmm. You cannot say that marijuana is dangerous.
No, of course not.
Time and time again, we've proven scientifically that it has positive effects for pain relief, and now we're starting to realize that it can push cancer into remission. It has positive effects on people with epilepsy.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to be. However, you do have to be able to differentiate in marijuana between tetrahydrocannabinol and CBD, which is your cannabidiol. So your tetrahydrocannabinol are housed in these little things called trichromes, which are those little dusty crystals.
By the way, that's THC for all you people.
Oh, right, yeah. We live in Australia. H. I swear to God, I never got over that.
No, I'll never say it.
I'll never say it. You can't make me.
It's H all the way.
But if you look at some of the more interesting statistics, whether it be the number of people that marijuana kills every year...
Which is what? Nothing.
It's a goose egg.
Zero. It's impossible to overdose.
You also take a look at other places around the world that are noticing significant drops in crime.
Okay, so you get reduction in crime rates, not just, regardless of what you guys are thinking, not just in the fact of, so it means that people aren't getting arrested for marijuana anymore. Yeah, that's true. But we are also seeing across the board, decreases in things like violent crimes, in break-ins, in murder rates, all because this has happened immediately following the decriminalization and regularization.
Oh, well, this is like, if you want to specifically look at a state like Colorado,
Colorado
where
the poster child for
I think it was 8.9%. No, sorry, this is in Denver.
That's Colorado.
Denver's in Colorado.
That's the capital of Colorado.
Right. Cool.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Enough with Cheech and Chong.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to... What? I can shamelessly pander. Fuck you. It's had a significant drop in violent crime by 8.9%.
Yep.
There was another infographic that I had that I'd lost, which was on the other computer. Ha!
We'll throw these up on.
Here's one I've prepared earlier.
We'll throw some of these infographics up as well, so you guys can actually have a look at it.
Yeah, you guys will be able to see.
And what we'll do is we'll put a couple of links in the description for to articles specifically relating to the topic.
Here we are. Kenton, if you please. Marijuana legislation in Colorado. 1 year anniversary of marijuana retail sales. Number 1, economic benefits. Marijuana is the fastest growing state economy. It always sounds more official when it comes out of a British person's mouth, so just give me a second here.
Just roll with it, it's okay.
Tax revenues are up 40. Sorry, I looked at the 4 and then I just sort of blanked out there. Tax revenues are up $40.9 million. That's a lot of money, Bob.
Yeah, well, that's on top of the money saved by having to deal with prosecuting possession charges and, all those other kinds of things.
Oh, it was up and over, I think, $148 million per year just to prosecute.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
You're also looking at reduction in the prison populations.
Well, because the arrests are down, specifically in Colorado alone, an 84% drop in marijuana arrests, which means there are fewer people going to prison, which also means that there are private companies that have a lot to lose. Gee, I wonder why people are lobbying so hard against the legislation of cannabis.
Well, it's a lot of revenue loss for people like the pharmaceutical companies. It's a lot of revenue loss for The police.
Oh, there's a big one. Speaking of, did you know that Colorado experienced an 8.9 drop in property crime since legalizing cannabis?
I know.
Wow!
Yeah.
Whilst not as significant, still a 3% drop in deadly car accidents, if you can believe that.
See that? That to me is a little weird. I'm not sure about the context behind it. But
Yeah, I'd have to look further into that, but that's probably statistics are so interesting because you can distort them to fill your view, but at a certain point, numbers don't lie.
Yeah. So, like I said, we'll pop a few things in the description for you guys to actually, if you're interested in investigating this yourself, which I encourage you to do because this is actually a very poignant topic. But any final notes or anything else?
Yeah, Australia. Let's get back to home here. So Australia has had a bill passed last November. It was an amendment to their Narcotics and Drugs Act, I think, of 1967.
Yes.
Wherein they basically state that now, whilst strictly regulated, doctors will have the right to prescribe medical cannabis in certain cases. But what this is also opening up is the ability to research marijuana in Australia for the very first time.
Yeah.
Without the consequences of going to prison. Now, this is significantly important for one specific reason, that Australia produces, I think, a third of the world, or contributes something near a third to the world's scientific research and breakthroughs, which is crazy, because normally you think of hard-necked spider fucking outlaws.
No,
but here we got a bunch of soft-spoken, easy-listening fucking nerds. And that's the people that I want working on this. I want smarter people than me telling me what to do.
9 times out of 10, when you hear about a medical breakthrough, it's usually from Australia. It
is. You can check that out, actually, which is...
However, it's interesting to note that while they're looking at the regularization and the decriminalization of Australia in terms of, medical marijuana...
Returns?
Yeah, returns.
Returns.
In regards to
medical
marijuana, it's interesting to note that because they're having to regulate it so far, and they're going through of course, the testing processes and everything else. So the Australian version of the FDA has to approve it all first. So you're still, even though they've passed those laws, you're going to look at 5 years before it becomes available, 10 years before it becomes available.
Well, this is the fear: is that the longer we leave it off, the people that are truly in need won't get it, and that they will continue falling back to the black market, which we don't want. I mean,
no, of course not.
Billions of dollars in the hands of the black market. I mean, that's dirty, dirty drug money.
Yeah.
Well, we want some of that dirty drug money, and we'd like some of that funneled back into our education programs for schools.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. Okay, say Australia was to decriminalize and regulate marijuana across the board. Now all of a sudden you're injecting $80 million into the economy, $100 million into the economy.
Those are conservative estimates.
And those are conservative estimates. But what can the Australian government do with an extra $100 million?
Man, I'll tell you. They could finally finish that light rail extension.
Yeah. How many education programs could they add in?
Yeah. Well, they'd certainly be making up for all the lost revenue.
Could be funded?
It's sickening. Just to give our Australian friends, and maybe if Senator David Leyonhjelm is listening, who championed on our behalf when Outlast 2 was banned, thanks Dave. Australia, prohibition has never worked. We understand you want to take your time with the science, but look at the rest of the world and what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's fine.
Catch up.
It's fine to try and take your time with the science.
Catch up.
Until that time, however, take a note from people like Canada. Take a note from people like in the United States as well, and allow it to be sold for recreational use.
Absolutely. Let's make this happen, people. Yeah. Around the world, we are uniting.
Absolutely. So if you guys have a comment, if you have an opinion on the matter, which I'm sure everybody does because this is one of the most polarizing topics out there.
This is going to be an ongoing debate. So please, let us know what you're thinking. Don't forget to smash the like button, brah. Go to hell.
Yeah, and the bell button as well for those notifications.
If you're interested.
Please, actually, we'd really love it if you did.
Seriously.
Comment, subscribe. We really appreciate the support, and we'll continue to keep making good content.
Long story short, thank you all for sharing your time with us.
And we'll see you again.
Farewell.